Aloha and welcome back. I am Pokalainui and you are listening to Hawaiian Potpourri on radio station KWAI 1080 on your AM dial. Today is the 7th day of April in the year 2012 and it is now 4:36, almost 4:37. If you would like to call and share an opinion on any of the news or on the positions that I have taken in the last half hour, give me a call. Our telephone number here is 524-1080. The question is, Laura Thielen, should she be qualified to run as a Democrat in the upcoming election? The Democratic Party rules, according to the officials in the Democratic Party, says that you must have been a registered Democrat for the past 6 months before you can submit your papers for election as a Democrat. There's some controversy about whether or not the districting proposal was finalized within that period of time so that people could have determined whether or not they wanted to run. But the rules does say 6 months prior to. It doesn't say that you need to identify what position you would run for. And in this particular case, Laura Thielen had announced that she was going to change party allegiance, saw herself as a Democrat, and was going to run in the upcoming election. However, she did not register as a Democrat. Some people are saying, well, it's a violation of the concept of open government, and the Democratic Party should be open and willing to let people run as Democrats. Essentially saying, however, that they should obviate the rule, or they should step beyond the rule and just let her run, because in the interest of an open government, you shouldn't have such rules. Officials of the Democratic Party are saying, you know, these are the rules. If you want to change the rules so that we can abide by those changed rules. But don't ask us to make an exception under a different principle and violate our own rules. That's part of the debate and discussion of whether or not the rules should or should not be changed. But if the rules are established until they are changed, then shouldn't we follow the rules, or should we make an exception because this particular individual, who is somewhat prominent in the Hawaii political system, wishes to run as a Democrat? How do I come out of this? My sense is, for the sake of what the rules are, I think the rules should be followed. It wasn't rules that were secret. If anyone really wanted to know what it takes to run as a Democrat, then the rules would have been available. Although it may not have been widely publicized, they were at least available, and people could get their hands on the rule if they had done some very basic research. There has not been an allegation that there was an attempt to hide what the rules were among the Democrats. So that's not the case. So I believe that the party itself has made the correct decision in this particular circumstance. Whether or not the rules are to be changed or not changed, that belongs to the debate within the party and the decision following the party rules. So that's where I come out on that, as opposed to, or just let her run or not run. I would like to see in the end as many people who are seeking public office to have the opportunity to run for public office, but not at the violation of the principle of primary elections. If primary elections are essentially to identify the candidates most likely or to be represented in the general election, then it belongs to a certain extent, the right of the party to identify the process by which it should have its members stand for election, and not just have a general principle that, hey, let everybody run, and they can run on any party ticket. If you do it that way, then there is no discipline. When a person says, I'm a Democrat, but he votes as a Republican, or vice versa, then there's no discipline, and so the voters themselves are casting aside party lines and not paying attention to it. If they want, they can always run as an independent and see where the votes come in that sense. But if you're going to run representing a particular set of principles, then you should be held to the rules from which those principles, or from the party that claims those principles. Okay. On that particular question, there's another viewpoint, not another viewpoint, another aspect to the story, and that is that the expectation is that Fred Hemmings is going to be jumping back into elective politics and would seek to represent essentially his old district as senator. And so it may be what do you call it, more an intellectual debate rather than one in reality. But it's still a debate, and you won't know that, and we won't know that until after the election. And I believe Senator Ryan has, over the last, 3-4 years, really done an excellent job in her position. She has attended the Hawaiian caucus that was called by the by Faye Hanohano, who chairs it, and she's a member of the House of Representatives. So crossing from the Senate side over to the House side, Ms. Ryan has been a participant and very supportive of this program. So I think she herself is gathering some following, although she's new in the position and she has won her prior election. I believe that she will be a contender, a strong contender for that position. Okay, if you have any comments, any questions, or any positions on this, our telephone number is 524-1080. Give me a call. My name is Poka Lainui. We'll put you on the radio and see what you have to say about some of these matters. I was going to sort of meander into the U.S. news, and this one comes from Maisie, standing up for our families. When I first came across this, which was about a week ago, I thought, hey, you folks might find this somewhat interesting. And so Maisie says, aloha, in Hawaii, we recognize that we are part of a community. We know that we are all in this together, and whatever hurts the most vulnerable among us hurts everyone. We strive to treat each other with aloha and know it is our duty to care for, or malama, each other and the islands we call home. These are the values that drive my work in Congress. So I guess it's a very Democrat Party statement as she's talking about, or what she's talking about. She continues to say, unfortunately, it's sad to say, this week the House passed a budget proposal by Congressman Paul Ryan, he's a Republican from Wisconsin, that does not represent the priorities of Hawaii's people and communities. I cannot support this budget because at a time when we need to be creating jobs, cutting our deficit, and making real investments to get our economy moving, Mr. Ryan's budget misses on so many counts. Of the many, here are just 10 reasons why families across Hawaii will be hurt by the Ryan budget. Essentially, the Ryan budget seems to be adopted by the Republican Party, and they control the House of Representatives. So it was a very split vote generally among party lines. So Maisie is saying, I'm standing by this position, and this is my line, and it's in alignment with the Democratic Party. Sort of casting the question, and so what are the other candidates running for the Senate in the upcoming elections position on this matter? So one, she says that this, according to this Ryan budget, it ends Medicare as we know it. For workers age 55 and younger, the budget would convert their Medicare into a voucher. They'd be left to find health care on the private market with no guarantee of the consumer protections, choice, or level of services that's available today. For today's seniors on Medicare, this budget would increase premiums based on income and would end free preventative and wellness visits. That's why this budget is opposed by AARP, National Committee to Preserve Social Security and Medicare, Families USA, Medicare Rights Center, AFL-CIO, and many other national organizations. So if you're talking about this idea of vouchers, moving back to what George Bush was trying to push, and essentially get as much money out of the Social Security Medicare system, turning it into vouchers and making people go out and invest. If that had been followed through, look at what would have happened to your investments. It went kaput 2 years ago, or a year ago, and this would have been what would have happened if vouchers at that time had been successful. She also says repeals the Affordable Care Act. The help seniors are now receiving to afford prescription drugs would be repealed. Young people would not be allowed to stay on their parents' insurance policies until age 26, and insurance companies would be allowed to discriminate against people with a pre-existing condition under Mr. Ryan's plan. And then she goes on to set forth, I think it was 10 points on why she did not support the Ryan plan. The third one was tax women's health care. The fourth was eliminate Brand USA, our nation's travel promotion arm. Fifth, rolls back efforts to make college affordable. 6, slashes education programs for Hawaii's students. 7, cuts nearly 4.1 million jobs nationwide through 2014. 8, gives millionaires and billionaires $265,000 each, in addition to the $129,000 they would receive from the Bush tax cuts. 9, cuts transportation investments in roads, bridges, rail lines, buses, and airports. And 10, protects tax breaks and boosts incentives for corporations shipping American jobs overseas. I think it's quite lengthy. I'm not going through all of it, but it gives you an idea of what this Ryan plan is about and what the Republicans as a party has essentially supported. I then went to check on Linda Lingo's website to see if she has spoken on the Ryan plan, and what did I find? Silence in that corner. Now, it may be that I inquired too quickly after reading and after the Ryan plan came out, so that Linda Lingo's campaign could not fashion a response. And I think I also inquired in Ed Case's campaign and did not find any response. Now, of course, they may have prepared responses subsequent to my inquiry, and it would be very interesting to see their position vis-a-vis Mazie Hirono's position. So we'll see what the positions are as we come down, quote, closer to the wire. In the meantime, I must say that Linda Lingo has very recently disassociated herself with the disapproval of women having the free choice with regards to abortion. Linda Lingo has distinguished herself from the rest of the Republicans, saying that people in Hawaii knows her position. She supports the right of women to choose. So in that way, she's trying to step away from the Republicans on that position. Now, others may say, well, with regards to marriages and the right of women to choose, in that case, or men and women to choose their marital partners, we all recall that Linda Lingo did veto the same-sex union that was passed earlier during her administration. So she's running a very interesting campaign. It will be interesting to see how she places herself, how close she associates with the Republican Party. Of course, she associates with the Republican Party in being a Republican, but to what extent she abides by their full program and to what extent she steps away from that program. And of course, it all has national implications, and the amount of votes that can be counted on now a Republican in the Senate, or should we send a Democrat to the Senate? Some people would say, well, what about Ed Case? Why haven't you talked about him? Well, we can talk about him if we were clear on his positions. Some people say that he's not really a Democrat. He's more Republican, clothed in the sheepskin of a Democrat. Others are saying, no, he's been a Democrat for a long period of time, while others would say, well, take a look at his positions. And so there's that tension that continues with regards to the Ed Case candidacy. All very interesting. Who is a person who knows most about Hawaiian sovereignty and who appears to support the idea of the right to self-determination by Native Hawaiians, and more than that, but by Hawaiian nationals among these candidates running for the U.S. Senate? And I would say it would be what's his name? John, who's a Republican, also running, had been chairman of the Republican Party many years ago, had been a pilot with, was it Aloha Airlines or Hawaiian Airlines, and has been around for many years. And I must apologize for forgetting his name, but he is another candidate. How viable as a candidate? He's run for office a number of times and had not been successful, but he hasn't given up and he continues to run. A little older than the rest of the candidates, and if you remember his name, please give me a call. I'm getting a little bit forgetful, or maybe not. It's just that as the years pass by, a natural phenomena is memories tend to fade. Okay, our telephone number here is 524-1080. We'll give you an opportunity to call and share some of your opinions on some of the stuff that I've talked about. There is another matter that I wanted to speak on, and that is what's happening with this whole idea of GMO. What is GMO? Gross manipulation of organisms. I think it's genetic. What is the M for? Was it manipulation or management of organisms? GMO. Monsanto is at the top of it and leads a campaign. There's so many acres here in Hawaii that has been turned over for GMO production or experimentation. Far, far more than is actually being used, acreage being used to produce local foods. Well, Monsanto and others have said that, well, there's nothing wrong with GMO. What are you folks afraid of? Where are the scientific tests to show that it's bad for your health? Well, people are gathering more and more information. But I think another perspective to take is it's not the scientific test that should be examined to disprove the viability or the appropriateness of GMO, but it's time and carefulness that should be taken as one approaches the idea of replacing man in nature's place, so that man is able to manipulate the regular order of nature as development and changes in nature occurs. And some people have not been very satisfied with the substitute of man-made products, including pharmaceuticals, including, let's take corn and the reproduction, or the, not reproduction, but the manipulation of the genes within corn, within sugar, within beets, within all of this food stuff that we consume, that has had the genes within these products manipulated by man in laboratories and then reproduced in the open, and having that effect ripple down to all of the natural agriculture that we have infecting all of the agriculture. Here's a report that comes out of Agriculturalist, and the name of the report, is Bad Signs for U.S. Agriculture. Farmers across the Midwest were hit with an unwelcome surprise in recent weeks as they prepare to deliver their corn harvest to their local grain elevators. Some big grain companies, primarily Bunge, posted signs saying that the new corn variety, Agrosure Viptera, would not be accepted at their facilities. As a result, farmers who planted the popular insect-resistant corn have had to scramble to find alternatives. Many farmers feel that Bunge has changed the rules in the middle of the game. Syngenta, the innovator of Viptera, is backing up the farmers who planted Syngenta seed in good faith with a lawsuit. It's just the latest example of how tangled our international regulatory and trade system for biotech has become, the dangerous disincentives it is creating to the innovation and adoption of new plant technologies, and how farmers are now caught in the middle unless we get this straightened out, not only farmers but the entire agricultural industry. One bright spot in a lagging U.S. economy, according to the Fed, will suffer. I'm going to stop at this point and make my comments. It's not a matter of whether or not it's fair on the decision of whether or not to buy GMO products, which is in essence this case, although they are avoiding that term. But you can see it when they talk about the innovations and essentially the manipulation of your farm products. These are GMO products. It's a reflection of the marketplace, not only within the U.S., but outside of the U.S., where other people are no longer willing to purchase agricultural products from the United States. One paragraph says the immediate problem originated this summer when China suddenly entered the corn market with several purchases. Bunge is afraid that if the new trade ends up in shipments to China, that country either won't accept the grain or more likely will demand a lower price. Although China is still a minor part of the U.S. corn market, the unexpected imports have thrown a wrench in the works. This is because China, whose regulatory system generally lags behind the rest of the world, is not expected to approve the Viptera trait until spring next year. So it says that China is a little slow in accepting the regulatory system by the United States. Perhaps China is responding to the overall concern that, hey, we better be careful about what kind of GMO products we accept. Okay, so that's further comments. I will go to news, and then we'll be back after the news, inviting your telephone call. Thank you for listening. We'll be back.
O Hawaii, hope o ka aina, iki mai ka elele o ka loko ino, pala pala anunu me ka paka. Mane mai Hawaii moku o ke ave, koku ana honoa o Pilani, ka ko'o mai kaua I o mano, pa'apu me ke oni o ka ku